on live since October.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Hello, everybody. Welcome
Hi.
back, Libronauts. We've been on hiatus. We took November and December off, so welcome back, everyone. And then, oops, we have a comment already. Let me show that real quick. Hey, Sam.
Sam.
Yay. Oh, she just finished today. Perfect.
That's
I finished
perfect
last
timing.
night. So.
Yeah. I saw you finish just last night and I was like, you sound like me with my Patreon book club. It's like finishing last minute, or I'm finishing it weeks in advance where it's like, wait, what was that
And you
person's name
forget it.
again? Like, yeah.
All right. Well, Liv, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Olivia from Liv's Library. You can find me on YouTube, basically all the socials, all the bookish socials, Goodreads, and all that. I don't typically read sci-fi though, but we'll get into my thoughts later. But I read a lot of fantasy, a lot of mystery thrillers. But I mean, I read almost anything. Like I'm really not that picky. I read some horror here and there. So yeah, I mean, any type of cozy, sometimes lifestyle content, I'm all about it. So, yeah, feel like you can find anything on my channel. I'm not picky when it comes to reading.
And guys, I should have Liv like her Instagram or no, YouTube in the link down below or in the show notes. But I'll double check and make sure that it's active. I might have to tweak it after the live show. So all right. Hello, Sarah Cat. Listened to most of it today.
Yay.
So yeah, guys, let us know if you read the book, what you rated it. And while everyone's doing that, Liv, do you want to go ahead and give a synopsis of the book?
Yeah. This is basically a lone astronaut, an impossible mission, an ally he never imagined, but it's basically about this. Is he like a second grade science teacher? Elementary science teacher.
I think it was like middle school because they were a little
Yeah.
bit older because they
Oh, okay.
middle school, I think.
Yeah, but not to like spoil too much, but he kind of ends up being possibly chosen to go on this mission to kind of like save the world, and all sorts of plot twists and crazy things happen because, well, I'll leave it up to you guys to like read it, or if you've already read it and know, but the reason why the world is basically ending, it's super interesting. Kind of scary, but super interesting. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, so guys, at this point, we are going to be talking spoilers. So if you've not finished the book yet, go ahead and hop off and join us after you've read it. Obviously, this will be up to view after. Let's see here. Hi, Kendall.
Hi.
So sad didn't get to this one in time for the discussion, but going to read it for sure this year, hopefully soon.
I was like,
Yay.
you have to read this, Kendall.
Yeah.
You would like it. She's like, I'm sad I didn't finish it. I'm like, you can still read it. It's fine. We can still talk about it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Sarah Cat said 4.5 to 5. Audio was so good. Yeah.
Yes.
The audio was amazing.
Yes.
Whole book, I give 3.5 stars, but the characters were 5 stars. Yeah.
I'll take that.
I would have to agree. The characters were amazing.
Yes.
So have you, I know you said you don't really read sci-fi, but have you read anything by Andy Weir before?
I love like sci-fi movies. I tend to like gravitate towards those. So I've seen The Martian, but that's like the extent of my like knowledge with Andy Weir. So going into this, like I know all sorts of people have liked it, like fantasy and I don't know. So I was super excited. I wasn't really scared to get into it. I just heard it was really funny. So I was like, okay, let's do this. But yeah, I hadn't read anything by him before, so I was eager to get into it.
Yeah.
Have you read by him?
There was a short story
Oh.
that I can't think of the name of right now. I'm completely blanking. But I think it was part of a collection.
Oh.
Like the short story collection. Like Arc is one of them by Veronica Roth, and then there's one by like Blake Crouch. It's like Summer Frost. Well, there's one by Andy Weir, I think. I'm pretty sure this is the right collection.
Okay.
And I read that, but with the novella, like I feel like I didn't really get a good picture of his voice and writing style. So
That's hard.
yeah. So for the most
Interesting.
part, this was my first experience with him.
Yeah. Have you watched any of the, like, The Martian
No.
before? Oh, okay, you have to watch it now, it's so good.
I might wait because spoiler alert, we are actually going to be reading The Martian in August.
Ooh, okay. You wanna
Yeah.
have me back? No, I'm just kidding.
I
That goes to
do
show how much I loved this book.
I know. Yep, I do actually have a co-host lined up, and it was actually her choice. She's like,
Oh,
I
perfect.
know we're reading Andy Weir in January, but how about we read him again in August? I was like,
He's popular.
amazing.
Yeah, yeah. Ooh, I'm excited. I'll have to jump on the reading with you guys for that one,
Oh,
for
for sure.
sure. Yeah.
Let's see here. Hello, Angela. Hi, ladies. This is my first time participating in Libronauts. Well, welcome. Thanks for
Yay!
excited to read more sci-fi this year. This was my first 5-star of the year. Awesome. I love to hear that.
Yes. That's amazing.
Yeah. First Andy Weir. Haven't even watched The
Mm.
Martian. Yep.
You're in for a treat if you ever do.
First time. Yep. Another first time. Never read anything from him or seen The Martian.
Okay. Yeah. Such a
Well,
good movie.
I think we'll have to try to do, if it's like widely available, we'll try to have to do like a movie night
Oh, yeah.
when
That'd be
we,
so cool.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So, um,
Oh!
yes, when the book opens up, we are with Rylan and he's waking up. He's very groggy. He doesn't know who he is or where he is or what he's doing. So what would you do if you woke up in this situation?
I honestly feel like I would have reacted kind of similar to him in a sense of, like, obviously sheer panic, and then realizing you're by yourself is, like, absolutely terrifying, but
Mhm,
then, like, okay, you're stuck in the ship, so, like, may as well find answers and, like, try to figure out what's going on,
mhm.
but it would take me way longer than it took Rylan to, like, get it together, and I'll, like, cry and sob and have a pity party for, like, weeks because yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah,
I feel like I'd react very similarly,
yeah.
similar feelings.
I mean, lucky for him, he is a science teacher and,
Yeah,
like well, he has higher credentials than that though, right? Like,
I
wasn't
think
he
so.
I can't remember exactly, but he was high up
Yeah,
somewhere
I don't
else.
remember what exactly he was, but
And so, like, the teaching thing was something he kind of fell back on when whatever he did before just didn't pan out.
yeah.
Uh, but first of all, I'm excited. There's not that many tabs, but this was the
Yeah.
first book that I've ever annotated and tabbed up.
What?
So, yes,
That's
I've
so
been
fun.
well, I've been so nervous too. I'm like, I don't wanna mark up my books.
Yeah. Did you write or highlight?
I did both.
Okay. I
Yeah,
usually am just a tab person because 'cause I'm
really.
like, "What if I wanna sell it later or something?" This I coulda highlighted because I won't sell this, but
So most of the tabs just kind of indicate like major plot points, but then
Mhm.
throughout, I underlined major like terms because there's so much science and so
Oh,
many names and terms in
yeah.
here. But then a lot of the highlighting, like, yeah, I highlighted important stuff, but I also highlighted a lot of the humor.
Oh, me too.
Like,
Yeah.
there's so much humor.
Yeah.
But yeah, one of the first things that I highlighted was when Rylan first wakes up and he's like, the way that he manages to figure out what was it, like the gravity or something or
Yes.
something. I'm just like, oh, that is so smart. Like,
Yeah. I would have not yeah, I'm not a math person or science person, so I would have been a failure at any of that.
yeah, gosh, I don't know. Like, I'm not big on math. I love science, but there's no
Yeah.
way,
I
no
liked
way.
anatomy, but, like, not
Yeah,
science.
that too.
Yeah.
But no, I think
Uh,
you're right, like, realizing that you're alone, especially when he found his other crewmates that had passed away,
mhm.
like, that would be very, like, I don't know. Like, when you try to think of this, like just the sheer scope of space and how big it is, and then it
Yeah.
kind of like your brain starts to malfunction a little bit.
Yeah.
I feel like
Yeah.
that would happen to me. I
Yeah.
mean, like
Oh,
I
yeah, for
yeah,
sure, and even struggling with, like which I don't remember if he did in this book, but, like, self-harmful thoughts too, because it's like,
right,
I'm here by myself, like, what?
right.
What is the point of life now? Like
Mm.
oh, goodness, yeah, crazy.
Let's see. Okay, so Kendall hopped off to avoid spoilers, which we'll watch after she reads and finishes it. Love you, Kendall. Yep, pure panic.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, it would take a minute, a very, very long minute for me to, like, calm down and be like, "Okay,
I
let's come
know.
up with a game plan here."
I know. Exactly, exactly. Trying to put all the pieces together.
Right? Would have reacted very similar, freaked out, and probably would have taken longer to calm down, but it would never have been me since I'm not smart like he is.
Yeah,
Yeah. What's
exactly.
even in the situation in the first place?
Yeah, I'd be like, "Well, the world is going to end because I'm a failure and I know nothing. So, sorry, guys."
Your choice.
Oh, yeah. I forgot those existed.
I didn't know those existed. Interesting.
That's a good idea, actually.
Okay. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, I guess it would be a bummer, like, if I finish the book, I'm like, "Wow, I didn't like that, I don't want to own it any longer," but, yeah, this
Yeah,
one I'm keeping for sure.
yeah.
Will say when he knew he'd have 4 years to head back and he was conflicted about that, I just thought how I'd use that time to read. Right, they had everything down. I know, and he had so many, like, video games. I'm
Yeah,
like, "I'd be fine."
exactly. Video games and reading, the food would be a little bit of a struggle, but,
Yeah,
like, we would
yeah,
survive.
yep, you get used to it.
Oh, so true.
Joining a little late.
Oh,
Hello, Kayla.
hi, Kayla.
Gave it 5 stars, absolutely adored it. I haven't read this hardcore of a sci-fi before, and now I'm intrigued to check out more.
Mhm,
Perfect. I love
mhm.
to hear it.
Yep.
Well, welcome.
She was sending me text updates when she was reading it. I was like, "Yes,
Oh,
it's so
awesome.
good."
All right. So speaking of the science, yeah, there was a lot of science in this book. So how did you feel that this was handled? Like, were you intimidated? Did you skim over it? Did you get it?
I feel like for the first third of the book, like, I was following pretty well with, like, the science and math and stuff, but I definitely feel like there was long paragraphs or long pages where I did zone out a little bit, but then sometimes I would reread because I'm like, "Okay, I really wanna know how he's actually solving the problems because 'cause I'm a type 1, I love to solve problems, and so I was trying to follow along, but it did get a little overwhelming, a little much, where I was like, "Is this typical of, like, sci-fi books?
Mhm.
Is this, like" so I'm curious to know, like, anyone else that's read sci-fi books, like, is there usually this much, like, detail? I don't know. I think he handled it really well, though, because he
Mhm.
balanced it out with, like, the humor and the plot twists and the emotions, so the whole variety of just everything he had, I think, was perfect, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. The humor, I think, really helped balance it out. Um, as far as like the science comparison in other sci-fi books, I've read other sci-fi books that have science, but I feel like it didn't go this heavy. But as far as like space books, I much preferred this one to a couple other space books that I've read.
Okay.
Um, and I do agree with you because you said there were a couple parts where, like later on in the book, where it's like, oh, okay, and you zone out a little
I
bit.
know. I'm like, "Okay, this guy's too smart for me."
Yeah, yeah, like, the whole thing about when they were trying to build, like, those farms to keep
Yes.
oh, no, Talmiba.
Yeah, yeah.
Like that, I was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, I know, exactly. I'm like, "Am I supposed to understand? Because I don't now, but
Right.
I'm just gonna hope it goes fine. I'm cheering you on." Like,
I know,
oh,
what's
yeah.
your word for it there?
Yeah, especially if it was late at night, I was like, "I don't know how much of this I'm absorbing," so I'd, like, put the book down and, like, come back to it the next day because it
Yeah,
was just like, "Okay, information overload."
right, right.
Ugh,
Let's see. I did love math and science, actually enjoyed calculus. Oh,
oh,
dang,
one of the
girl.
very few people I know.
Chemistry was tough for me. Yeah,
Yes.
that was one of my downfalls as well. Still would not have wanted to be on that ship. Yeah.
No.
Got enough in the sense that I knew I didn't need to actually understand fully. Yeah, that's a good point. Like, I feel like he,
Yeah.
quote unquote, like dumbed it down enough for
Yes.
non-science minded people to be able to get the gist at least of what he's talking about. Oh yeah, and she even said that, just needed the gist. Yep.
Yeah.
Incredibly specific and interesting. I
And I feel like
agree.
with the way he reacted to, like, something he was trying to, like, experiment with, you're like, "Okay, that was good, it wasn't bad." Like, he did a good job of, like, not leaving you hanging, like, "Well, what did I just read?"
Yeah.
So, the character's reaction was, like, I don't know what I based everything off of. I'm like,
Yeah.
"Okay. Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah, because like you wouldn't know otherwise. Like, is that a good thing?
Yeah, exactly, like, "Okay, I guess we're good, I don't know."
I was reading, but I wasn't absorbing the knowledge because I knew I wouldn't understand it. But I loved
Yeah.
him explaining his thought process in every scenario. Yeah,
Yes, yes. I mean,
definitely
he's
did
by
that.
himself, so, like, how are you gonna write a book when there's not a lot of dialogue? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point. Started to zone out on the science stuff after a while, but I like how he seemed to sum it up at the end of a long tangent. And
Yes,
the person and the humor helped a lot.
exactly.
Nice. I would understand how it could be too much, just shorten some of it, but was a good balance for me and the humor in their relationship. Oh,
Mhm.
yes.
Yeah.
Love science and math, hate trig and physics.
Ah,
This is the first book I read that talked about it so much. I have no idea how accurate it was, but sometimes it felt like a lot. I was wondering that too. Like, is this all accurate, real science, or is he
yeah.
just yeah?
I was wondering that too. I was like, I feel like some of the stuff I was following felt accurate, but then, like,
Mhm.
later down the road, I was like, "Well, I don't know, like, I'm just gonna accept what you're saying is true, and if not, like, I'm just here for the plot," you know?
Right. I wonder. Lifelong space nerd, devoted hobbyist of such subjects as relativistic physics, orbital mechanics, and the history of manned spaceflight. So I would say Andy Weir does know a thing or two
Yeah,
about
that's
that
for sure.
subject.
That was the
So
first thing I looked at was his, like, biography in the back. I was like, "Okay, so he actually yeah, I think he knows what he's talking
yeah.
about." Uh,
Hello, Elizabeth. Thanks for joining.
hi.
Hate math, but love pretending I understood.
Yeah,
Granted, not for everyone.
exactly.
Humor and examples made it so much, yes, so much more worth reading. I agree.
Yes.
Oh, the humor, I loved it.
I was not expecting that. I had no idea. I don't know if I just didn't read, like, the blurbs about it being funny on the back, but
Mhm.
such a good surprise.
Oh, yeah. Yay, love this book. Oh, hello.
Yay.
Just joining. Did y'all listen to the audiobook? Yes.
Yes. We were
Mhm.
talking earlier about how Ray Porter is his name. I guess he was a character on the show Lost at some point, so if that means anything to anyone that's seen the show.
Brother is a legit scientist, so it felt like talking to him. Oh,
Oh,
that's cool. Has he read this, Sam? You should ask him.
yeah.
Listen to the audio, and for some of it, also read physically at the same time. Audio was so good. Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I mostly tandem read, with the audio, but then there were a couple times where I didn't have time, I couldn't sit down, so I was just listening to the audio,
Yeah.
but then I would go back and, like, highlight some stuff.
Yes.
Sucked into the story and excited for the film adaptation with Ryan Gosling. Yes, Liv and I were talking about that, behind stage.
Yes. Before
Um,
this?
yes. So, yeah, I don't know the exact date, but sometime in 2026.
Oh, it's
Supposed to
too
come out.
far away.
No,
Uh,
it'll
I
be
think
amazing though, I'm sure.
yeah, because
Mhm.
he's pretty good with humor. I feel
Yeah.
like there's I don't know, it's gonna be interesting how they do all, like, the inner dialogue stuff, like the
Mhm.
narration, voiceovers, I don't know, I'm just so curious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and another thing too, like, I was kind of wondering, um, like, how it was gonna be handled because I always knew of this book as fully taking place in space. And I'm
Yeah.
like, am I gonna get bored, like, with it just being in space? But I think
Yes.
all the they weren't really flashbacks, they were like memories that
Yes.
would come back to him. Like, that helped a lot.
Yeah, which was also genius the way he did that, because like,
Mhm,
some type of visual thing would trigger his memory, and then
mhm.
we'd, like, flash back and then come back, like, the way he wove the story together was just so cool.
It was perfect.
Yeah.
Huge science and physics lover, was into it.
Cool.
Yeah, me too.
Yay.
Yeah, the physics stuff was super, super interesting. Like the whole like time
Mhm.
and the relativity of that and how that just like it reminds me of Interstellar, the movie
Yes.
with Matthew McConaughey, and I'm just like,
Love
oh.
that movie. Oh, yeah. It blows my mind.
Mhm. Very exciting stuff.
Yeah, I had no idea until she told me a few minutes ago. I was like, "What?"
Well, I had heard rumors about it like earlier last year, and I wasn't sure if it was accurate. But then after I finished the book, I looked it up. I'm like, okay, I guess it is
Yeah.
happening.
Oh, so cool.
In his acknowledgments, he also mentioned a lot of scientists that helped him. Okay,
Mm.
I didn't read the acknowledgments, so that is awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
My preference is reading physical, but the audiobook was so good.
Yep.
Yeah. Anytime I've heard anyone talk about this book, they're like, pair it with the audio for sure.
Yes. Yeah, I got it during an Audible sale for less than $3 or something. It's like, "Alright, we're doing it."
I'll have to ask him. He normally prefers nonfiction, of course.
Okay. Yeah.
The musical and sound elements in the audio was everything. Yeah, that
Yes.
was really cool.
Ugh.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
This worked great since I had owned it and wanted to read before the adaptation. Didn't realize it's so long from now. I know.
We're gonna have to all do a reread before the movie. Uh,
Rocky!
oh, so good. So good.
And it's really funny. My fiance loves Rocky, like the boxing movies.
Yeah?
And so when he started calling him Rocky, I didn't think anything of it. But then when he was talking about Rocky's mate, he's like, "Ooh, what should we call it? Adrian," because that
Oh,
just fits. Because
yeah.
Rocky and Adrian. I'm like, "Oh my god!" So I
I
like
didn't
showed
even think
him,
about that.
look at it, and he's like, "Cool."
That's amazing. I love when that happens, when, like, a book just becomes even more personal.
I will say I don't love spiders and didn't realize Rocky looked like one, so that threw me off. Amaze. Oh.
Amaze, I'm dead. Oh, I hate spiders too, and
Mhm.
I have been creating, like, mood board kind of for books that I read on Pinterest. I was
Mhm.
trying to, like, search spider alien, and I was like, "Oh, I can't look anymore, like, I'm not
Oh.
putting this in my mood board, it's just too gross." Oh my
Um,
gosh.
just watched Interstellar for the first time. Didn't it, like, blow your mind? If you liked that, watch Predestination with Ethan.
Yes! I've
I've
seen
never
this one too. Yes.
What is that one about?
I don't remember. It's been a really long time since I've seen it, or maybe it came out no, it came out a while ago, I
Did
think,
it?
but
Hmm,
yeah,
interesting.
I do remember the title.
Might read like nonfiction to him, Sam. Might.
True. I
Maze.
know.
Oh my gosh, this one. Oops. Oops, I skipped it.
Missed my
My
boat! Oh
Oh
gosh,
my
I love
gosh.
it.
Yes. Oh my
Doesn't get
gosh.
old. Oh, man.
Going to say amaze all the
I
time now.
know.
Oh,
It makes me wanna, like, meet him because I feel like his sense of humor would be really good too.
yeah.
Like, the author? Ugh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Does he do well, he hasn't come out with anything. Was this the most his most recent
I
release?
think so.
Oh my
Was this
god.
2021, I think?
I think so.
Yeah,
Oh, we need him to write more.
I know. Well, this was a lot, so I could see why it's taking him so long.
Yeah, true.
Oh,
Made me laugh and cry, then be happy again.
I
Same. I
know,
had all the emotions.
especially when we all thought,
I know.
Rocky was gonna be gone. I was like, "Don't you dare mess with me like that. Rude."
Yeah, and he did it twice too.
I know. I was like, "What are you doing, sir?"
Oh,
Oh,
Rocky made me so happy, happy, happy. Oh.
I love it. First time I've ever fallen in love with a spider.
Mhm, yeah, with no eyes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that he'd repeat things 3 times, yeah, like, to emphasize, that was really cute. Check this out from the library, but I really need to own this one. I could see it being a
Oh,
comfort read. Mhm.
absolutely. Yes.
Alright. So, the main issue in this story is basically this thing that they have named astrophage, which I can't remember exactly what it does. It's like eating the power coming from the sun,
Yeah.
or it's
Yeah.
depleting the sun in some way,
Right.
and that's not good for Earth.
Yeah, exactly.
So how, I guess, because this is a made up threat, but how does that compare to like real world threats that we see today, whether it be, you know, anything really?
Yeah. I feel like you compared it to just, like, climate change in general kind of
Yep.
throughout. Like, they were even figuring out different ways to figure out the climate without the sun. Weren't they doing something with, like why am I thinking Alaska with, like, icebergs and, like, melting water and, like, doing all these different experiments to, like I don't know. I just remember some scientific part of it that they were trying, and I don't know, but I feel like the main thing was climate change that he
Yeah.
was comparing it to. I'm trying to think of something, like, more specific, but
I do like when I think they were in Antarctica at one point and they were testing something. They needed
yes.
to make sure like nobody was remotely nearby for
Yes.
that to happen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah. Um, there were I probably should have tried to find them before the live show, but there were a couple things that I had highlighted. One of them I thought was really funny. Um, he was like in his classroom with his students and they were talking about climate change. And one of the students was like, "My dad says that's not real." And he's like, "Well, it is."
Yeah, it's so
That
funny.
was so funny. um, oh gosh, I can't remember. But yeah, I think climate change certainly was like the big thing. And then later on in the story, they like Strat was talking about wars starting and famine and stuff, all
Yeah.
because of the panic of like the impending final days of Earth. So scary stuff.
Yeah, it felt
No,
very apocalyptic,
yeah.
obviously. I was like, "Man." Yeah, it's kind of I don't wanna say foreshadowing at all because that's really depressing, but, like, ooh, yeah, a lot of comparisons there.
Yes. And I was I think I have okay, I do have another question kind of similar, so I'll save what I was going to say for that portion. But I know at the end, Rylan finds out that basically Earth was able to get back to a livable um status.
Yeah.
So, but one thing that I kind of wish that we would have gotten to see, and I don't know how it could have happened, is everyone that he left behind, like how they fared. Like,
Yes. That felt like a big plot hole or, like I mean, I don't mind open endings, but, like,
Mhm.
everything else wrapped up so nicely, and I
Yeah.
would've liked to see I don't know, it would've given you, like, a sense of hope in
Mhm.
general, and, yeah, I definitely missed that too. I was like, "Oh." Like, he's talking about all the kids being, like, what, in their 40s by the time he got back to
Mhm.
Earth? I was like, "Oh, I wish he could have had, like, some type of interaction with one of his students or something," but
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Excuse me. Okay. I always forget where I leave
I do
off.
that too.
Oh, okay. They had to create more methane gas to worsen the climate to help protect. Oh, that's right.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Which obviously was a very temporary fix because long term would have been, like, way worse for them.
yeah,
It increased from 19 years to 26 years that they survive. So, yeah, because that makes me wonder, like, it had to have gotten bad
mhm,
while he was gone because by the time like, at the end of the book, he said that he experienced enough time to pass by that he was, like, in his 50s, but on
yes,
Earth, enough time had passed by that he would have actually been in his 70s. And
yeah,
they had only just gotten notification but, like, how long was Earth good before they found out, you know?
exactly.
The other
Yeah,
question.
yeah,
Hmm.
I know. I'm like, "Hmm." I did love the ending, but, like, there's still things I was like, "Oh, curious about that," but
Yeah. And again, I don't know how he would have done that
yeah,
unless we hopped into somebody else's consciousness, which would
exactly.
make sense for the story, but
Like, maybe one of, like, the alien creatures made it to the Earth and, like, we had that perspective, but there's
oh,
no other way, or, like, one of the beetle things they sent, like, I don't even know how he would have done that.
yeah. Oh, yeah, if there could have been, like
Or Strat's perspective, because she was still on Earth.
yeah,
I don't know if she would have died by then, but
yeah, probably.
yeah.
Climate change, even something like pandemics, how things spread and infect the planet, and how quick the world could fall apart. The world has to come together. Mhm.
Yeah.
And it's funny, I was reading, 2 books by Gabrielle Korn, which are also dystopian. The first is Yours for the Taking, and the second
Oh,
is The Shutouts, and it's, kind of similar in the sense that there's a climate crisis and things are not going well. So, like, the first book and they're not even marketed as, a first and second book in a series, which is weird because they definitely are.
oh, hmm,
But the first one's, like, focusing on these people that they stay inside of this, like, facility, and they're protected from everything going on outside.
interesting.
And then the second book is kind of focusing on the people that were left outside, the climate refugees,
Oh,
what they call
that's
them.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, in reading those, while I'm also simultaneously reading this, that's, I think, another reason why I was like, "Climate change, climate change."
Yeah. Yeah, that
'Cause
makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah. I need to read more, like, dystopian stuff this year because I
Mhm.
love it. I just don't read enough of it.
Yeah. Have you read Station 11?
I tried reading that forever
Mhm.
ago, and I don't know why I never finished it. I liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was really good, I thought.
Yeah.
That one is like a virus, a pandemic, but
Yes. Yeah.
definitely climate change, world coming together versus world wars. Yes, big time. Agree. I wish we could have found that out also. I get why he couldn't without him. I'm sorry. I get why we couldn't without him going back to Earth, but wish we could now.
Yeah.
The guy who had to blow up Antarctica to save Earth and cried after that was said. Yeah, he like felt guilt about that.
I know. I would too. That's
hmm
crazy.
hmm Just have to have hope like he did. Aw, that's a good way to think of it. Dee-dum. So that's actually kind of a perfect segue to what was just mentioned. But there were a lot of tough decisions that had to be made for the good of the planet. So let's discuss some of those. I have one in particular that I want to discuss, but did you have any?
Yeah. I'm trying to think, 'cause there's just so much in this book. I
Mhm.
finished a couple weeks ago too, so if
Oh,
you talk first, maybe it'll trigger something in my brain.
for
'Cause
sure.
I tabbed all, like, the funny things, and I was like, "Oh, I should
Yeah.
have tabbed, like, more of the other stuff," but
Mhm.
what were you thinking about?
So I kept thinking of Strat and like she was like such an authoritarian and she had all of this power
Right.
and just all of this clearance. And in the beginning, like we see like she's just taking charge and she's doing what needs to be done. But like towards the end, we kind of start to see like she had to make some tough decisions, which kind of made her look
Yes.
like not the best person.
Right.
However, she had the big picture in mind, which I
Right.
think is really important.
Yeah. That was the
Yeah.
first thing that came to my mind too when she was like, "Sorry, but you're the only last person qualified for this, so you don't have a choice."
Mhm.
And to live with, like, I would feel so guilty if I was her, like, forcing someone to do that too. It's just my personality, but yeah, that'd be super tough.
Yeah.
Ugh, the lengths she went and stuff was yeah, that was a good plot twist.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. I also pictured her I pictured with the way he read her voice, total side note, but I was picturing her as Edna from The Incredibles, like, the entire time, just, like, the very
Uh,
military. Oh my
wait,
gosh, yeah.
I can see that now.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, and the 2 other people that he worked with that were, like, experimenting with astrophage, the whole
Yeah,
building, like, blew up, which not necessarily a tough decision, but it was, like, a tough thing to read where it was
Oh,
like,
yeah,
"Oh, yeah, they were forced into doing this stuff because they were qualified for it," so,
yeah.
yeah.
However, I kinda thought that it was a bit romantic because they, like, fell for each other,
Yeah,
and regardless of if he went or she went, like, they were not ever gonna be together,
right.
and now they get to be together
Yeah.
in for all eternity,
Yeah, exactly, exactly. I was
and
like, "Oh,
it was very
might
sweet.
as well."
Yeah, you
Yeah. That
know,
was
and
funny, though.
I made a note too on one of the pages that I saw when I was flipping through. He gave me Sheldon vibes from
Oh, yeah.
Andy.
Yes, yes, I could totally see that.
Well, when they were, like, talking, like, they what had happened? Ryland was, like, trying to teach them some things, and so they were coming to class, and, like, Dubois was already there, and they were waiting for her, I can't remember her name, and she comes in late, and he was like, "Oh, I was just telling him how we, started hooking up,"
Yeah,
basically.
exactly.
Like, "Sheldon?" It
It
was just
was
very, like,
so
matter of fact, like,
I
this is
know,
happening.
I know, it was so out of pocket too, I was like, "Excuse me? What are we doing?" Oh, just add to that humor. Oh, so
Mhm.
funny. Yeah.
Strat was intense, just did anything she had to, wanted to, yeah.
Yep.
She knew it though too, because like, at one point, she's even like, "After all is said and done, like, I'll probably be in jail for
Yeah,
everything."
exactly. She acknowledged it, but
Yep,
yeah, she's like, "I know what I'm doing, so someone's gotta do it because everybody else is in panic."
right, yeah. No, she took charge. Like, I liked her, but I didn't like her, but then I respected her,
Yeah, yeah, I loved her a lot. I think she
Mhm,
was a favorite character of mine.
yeah. Can't imagine forcing someone to do the right thing, like, you had to have so much faith in that person. What if he didn't do the right thing? That's a good
Yeah,
point. Oh, and she even said at one point that she didn't like him, but she,
yes.
like, respected him and
Mhm.
basically knew that he was a good person, and, like, when he's like, "Well, how do you know when I get out of here, I'm not gonna, like, report you and or
Exactly.
try to sabotage the mission?" She's like, "'Cause you're too good of a guy to do that."
Yeah, exactly. She's like,
You're
"I know
not
you are." Oh gosh. Yeah.
Well, now when I reread this, that's what I'm gonna picture.
It was the audiobook voice. I was like, "Edna?" I was like, "What?" So funny.
Oh, that's
Oh, gosh.
or what if he had died because the other 2 scientists passed away, like, it was all such a risk. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
and I'm still confused well, not confused because I know, like, literally anything could happen, but, like, what happened that made Yao and
I know.
Yushnikov or whatever, Ilyushka, I can't
Yeah, yeah, she was hilarious too.
remember.
When they were asking,
Yeah.
like, what they wanted or how they wanted to die,
Oh, yeah, she's
talking
like,
about,
"Heroin."
like yeah, heroin. I was like, "Oh."
Okay.
Oh, so funny. Yeah,
Well, and
I
the
did
funnier
they
part
just
is that they did it. They're like, "Okay, here you go."
yeah, I know. I know. Oh, it was probably Edna pulling some strings for that
Mhm.
one. But, like, did they just die when they were in, like, their comas? Like
I think so, but I don't know why, because they had that,
yeah,
genetic marker that meant that they would survive that, and
yeah,
this
and that's
didn't
why I was like, "So he survived, but they didn't?" Like,
survive.
I don't know. I don't know.
But it's, like, a good thing because if one of them would have survived and he wouldn't, like, they weren't the science-minded people,
Yep,
so
exactly.
it would have not gone well at all.
Yeah, who knows how much they would've been able to aid him anyways. Yeah, it's true.
Sam saw Edna as well.
Yes. No capes. Uh,
Uh, okay, so on the topic of characters, my favorite was Rocky.
yes, no-brainer.
Yeah. But there were a lot of characters, and I think especially if you read with the audiobook, like, the narrator did an amazing job
Yes.
voicing everybody, making them sound different, giving them their own personality. I mean, obviously, Andy Weir had a lot to do with that as well because he's the one writing them. So yeah, what did you think of the character work, and who is your favorite?
Rocky, obviously. I actually didn't realize Rocky was gonna even come into the picture.
Mhm.
Like, that took me totally by surprise. I'm trying to think of, like, before that, I did really like Strat because of her humor and just, you know, craziness, but yeah, I feel like those 2 stand out. I like the main character too, like, he was
Mhm.
funny, but Rocky for sure just
Mhm.
made it. Just totally made it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I loved how they communicated
Yeah.
and just
Genius.
it was genius. And then just, like, him learning the different, like, idioms and, like,
Yeah.
getting to know the different things that, like, Ryland would say and, like, at the end, you could tell after, like, I think 16 years had gone by, and they're just talking and he swore for the first time.
Yeah, I
I'm like,
know.
"Oh my gosh."
I know. Oh my gosh, it's so funny. Oh, that had me rolling.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I also didn't expect Rocky as a character. I was thinking, like, when he was first waking up and it was the computer that was, like, trying to ask him questions and, like, getting him stuff, I thought the computer was going to be, like, his companion character.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
what I assumed too, just from, like, movies and other stuff I've seen,
Mhm.
but yeah, I was pleasantly surprised because I was like, "Oh, so we're throwing in, like, an alien kinda trope too?" Which
Mhm.
is just such a cool combination.
Mhm.
Yeah. Mm, he was so
And
funny.
I think too how, like, because at one point, Rylan is, like, he's trying to figure out, like, okay, that's a
Yes.
huge spaceship.
Yeah.
Are they evil? Are they good? But how
Yeah.
they kinda came to the conclusion that they were there for the same reason because why else would they be there?
Right.
Like,
Right.
that kinda I don't know, that blew my mind a little bit. I'm like, "That's
Yeah.
just so clever."
Yeah. Seriously, yeah. Like, the way yeah, he came up with them being there for the same reason was just I don't know. It was so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe it still wasn't 100%. While it messed up, he was forced. He was who they needed there. Mhm.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. He was, like yeah, definitely for the best, I think. Like I said, I think it was sweet that Dubois and his, like, understudy essentially fell in love
Yes.
and then got to,
Yeah.
really
Yeah. He had to throw the romance in there somewhere.
Rocky is one of my all-time favorite characters, yes.
Yep. I
Yep.
agree now.
And it's so funny because, like, in reading the description of what he looked like, I feel like I have a really good idea of
Yeah.
what he looked like.
Yeah. And the way he, like, ate, like, he
Yeah,
had, like, this, like, pocket on his stomach, just like, ugh.
and he was so funny. He's like, "This is a private thing, like, I don't want you watching this," and
I
Rylan's
know.
like, "But I want to." He's like,
I know.
"Okay."
You can't watch me eat, but you can watch me sleep. Like, what?
That
Twilight
was so
moment?
sweet, though. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like, the
Yeah.
sleeping thing and how he made him, like, build a bed in the tunnel connecting their 2
I
ships.
know, I know. I feel like every sci-fi movie I've seen, it's like the aliens are bad, they're coming
Yeah,
out to get you, and so this was just such a good, like, fresh take on that. Ugh,
yeah.
yeah.
Rocky, but also loved Rylan, especially them together. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Their
Their
dynamic
teamwork.
was amazing. Mhm. Rocky, Rocky, Rocky. I love the humor of Rylan too. I really loved all the characters for the roles they played.
Yeah,
Yes. If people haven't read the book yet, I don't even say anything about Rocky because it's fun to find out on your own. Yeah,
exactly.
that's
Yep.
yeah, I love that. So I
Yes.
also will not say anything.
Yeah, like, don't even put it in my review online or
Yep.
anything, I'm just gonna yep.
I had heard about Rocky as a character, but also thought it was a computer situation.
Mm,
So glad that wasn't spoiled for me. It made it so much better when it happened. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, come to think of it, like, I think the only thing is that an
sorry, it's my
audiobook?
watch.
Oh,
I don't know if I hit something on it.
um, but yeah, like, I think the only thing that I had really heard about this book was about a man lost in space,
Yep,
and
same.
that's really it.
Yeah. I didn't
So,
even really reread the synopsis. I was like, "Okay, we're just gonna do it."
yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, I think it was an amazing experience.
Yeah.
Can't imagine being the first person to ever come in contact with an alien life and not being able to talk to another human about it. Yeah, that'd be
Yes. I kept thinking about that too. Like, I were the first people ever. Mind blowing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah. Ooh, I wonder. So at the end, when the Iridians were able to get notification that Earth is like good now, I wonder if they were able to return information at
Ooh.
all. And like
Yeah.
if there was anyone still living on Earth that remembered Rylan and was able to be like, okay, he's alive, he's good.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I had thought about that too at some point.
Mhm.
So many things he could have, but he's the author, so
Right.
I'm like,
I mean,
"Oh,
it
man."
wouldn't change a thing, honestly.
Yeah.
Rocky is one of the most wholesome characters I've ever met. Oh, agree. But most of all, I appreciated their friendship and respect of each other. Such a much needed message of unity in today's world. Yes.
Yeah, for
Mhm.
sure. Not everybody has to be like you to be friends.
Yeah, exactly. So glad everybody seems to really liked it. Yay. I
Mhm.
know if anyone says they don't like Rocky, I'm going to question their morals.
Exactly. It's like a sweet, innocent child. Uh,
Okay. So, in a situation like this, planet-wide extinction scenario, do you think that the world would be able to come together and work together towards like this common goal?
it's so hard to picture, like, in today's world, it really is, but I would hope that if there was some type of something like this, that people would be able to put the past behind them and just
Mhm.
focus on surviving and helping each other. Like, it's so hard to say if it would be able to become true, but I would hope so. I would really hope so.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. I think I'm a little bit of a pessimist,
Yeah.
and I feel like people would let, and when I say people, I guess I mean countries or the people in power might like let their egos get the best of them and
Yeah.
they would just,
Selfishness.
yeah, bicker too long to really come to an agreement
Yeah.
and then bye bye Earth.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
Uh,
Hopefully we'll never find out.
yeah.
Oh gosh.
The hope in me says yes, but if I overthink it, I would panic. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. Ooh, not fun to think about. I think the part where they figured out a plan and worked towards that goal, but after that, the waiting and as resources deteriorated, I do think that would shift.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yep.
Like maybe once it got to a point where it was like, okay, this isn't serious. This is like serious, serious.
Yeah.
Like things need to
Exactly.
happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the part where they were learning to communicate too. Yeah.
That
That
was, like,
was
one of my favorite parts.
more. And I loved at the end how when he was in the classroom, he had like an organ where he could just play the notes.
Yeah, yeah.
That was so cute.
That was cute. Mhm. Forgot about that.
Mhm. And then okay, so full disclosure, when I was looking to see how many pages there were, I
Mhm.
saw the sentence that said something about like little claws clicking together.
Oh.
Let's say, yeah, 12 kids raise their claws. And so when I saw that and I'm like, like Iridian claws?
Yeah.
But like I wasn't sure. I was like, okay, how are we gonna get, because I was only like halfway through the book. I'm like, how are we gonna get to like from where we're at to there?
Yes.
So
Oh my gosh.
it didn't, like, spoil it for me, I don't think, like, I
Yeah,
still was, um,
that's
and then
funny.
I forgot to mention too that the part, where Rocky was like okay, so Ryland was, like, telling Rocky, like, "Okay, sorry, this is a mission that I'm not returning home from, um,
Mhm.
I don't have enough fuel to get back," and Rocky's just like, "I got extra.
Yeah.
Like, here you go," and
Yeah.
just how happy that they both were, like, that was really sweet.
Yeah, I loved that moment. Ugh, yeah. And when he decided if he was like, "Do I wanna go save Rocky or do I wanna save, like, the world?" Like, I was just like, "Oh my gosh."
Yeah,
It's such a good moment.
yeah, and I love that he was able to just do both.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, this book was so wholesome, I loved it.
It was, it really was, the more you think about it.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay. So I usually ask this one in all of my lives, and I know we talked a little bit about it, but did this book remind you of any other books, movies, shows, anything like that that you could recommend?
Mm. There's one I, like, lost it. I should have written it down. It reminded me of some fantasy book, and now I'm completely, like, lost why or what the book was. I was like, "Dang it, I should have written it down."
Does it take place
Maybe
in
I'll
space?
I don't think so. Maybe it was either, like, his writing or the humor or something kind of reminded me of it.
Mhm.
I cannot remember now.
Hmm. It kind of brings to mind, what is it? Life of Puppets or something like that by TJ Klune.
Oh, really? That would
But
make sense.
I didn't like that book.
Yeah, I didn't read it because I heard
Oh,
it was kinda bad, but
yeah. So I mean, I don't know why it's making me think of it aside from, and that's mostly robots as well, not so much aliens, but just
mhm.
the very different characters and the sassiness, like, there's like a vacuum cleaner and like a Nurse Ratchet robot or something.
I love that.
So I think that's maybe why it's making me think of that a little bit.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that.
Mhm.
I mean, it just reminded me of, like, Interstellar, The Martian,
Mhm.
Predestination, yeah.
Yeah. And then that Ant-Man Quantum Mania or something.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yep, you're so right.
Yep.
Huh.
Let's see. Okay. People in power would ruin it. They just let us regular folk do it. We'd work it out. Yep.
Yeah,
Or like nobody in power and just like the really, really smart people that actually have the resources to figure it out. That would be perfect.
exactly. It's so true.
Yeah. Teared at the end of him teaching Iridian children. Me too.
Yeah. I teared
Like
up at that until I realized he was eating himself, basically.
a me burger.
I was like, "Does he actually mean what he said?" And then he described it, and I was like, "Okay,
But
questionable."
he had a point though. He's like essentially like, don't judde me. Like if you really, really wanted a burger and didn't have any way to have that,
So
you'd love it
true.
too.
So true. It's so funny. I was like, "Oh my gosh, what?" Was
But
not
just
expecting
like
that.
the way that the Iridians worked so hard to make a space that was habitable for him and,
Yeah.
like, making food for him and even having, like, the lights for
Yeah.
him because he needs, like, light and, like, a sun effect because it's
Yeah.
completely dark there because they don't even have eyeballs.
Yeah, I know. The
I thought that
eyeballs.
was so sweet, and then he got to
Yeah.
teach and,
Like,
it's
imagine if in today's world we could all be that, like, be just as curious about each other, like, and have patience and, like, willing to, like, listen and stuff. It just I was like, "This is what we need today."
yes. Oh, I agree. Yes. Oh. The language learning was fascinating to me. I really appreciated that as an English and second language.
Ooh,
Oh, that's cool.
that was up your alley for sure.
Providence by Max Berry is a small crew of 4 people on an AI spaceship fighting aliens in deep space. Has some humor and some similar elements to Project Hail Mary, but I wouldn't say an exact comparison. Okay.
Ooh,
I feel like
yeah,
Max
I'm like,
Berry. That sounds familiar.
it does. I need to look it up now.
Um, okay, so it wasn't the author I was thinking of, but Providence. Okay. Okay. Yeah,
Hmm,
there's an astronaut on the cover.
yeah, the cover's cool.
This is that kind of looks like a mouth with teeth.
Yeah, it does. I was like, "Wait, is this the right thing?" It looks like a horror book when you
It
first
does
see
kinda
it.
no, it doesn't say horror. It says thriller, like, towards the end.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Thank you for that recommendation.
Yeah, it looks interesting.
I read the book years ago now. You guys make me want to read it again. Yay! Do
I
it. I
know.
will do
I'm
it.
like, I kind of want to read The Martian now because why
Yes.
not?
Yep.
Yeah,
Later this year, if you want to read it with us.
exactly. It's like I'm gonna have to now.
I'm just so curious. Again, I've not seen the movie, so I have no idea what The Martian's about. But I'm
Yeah,
curious to know, like, is it going to be similar? Like, is it going to be really wholesome and humorous, or is it going to be like way different?
yeah. I don't remember it being necessarily funny, but it
Oh,
has been a really long time. So
yeah.
that's why I'm curious how the book would play out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. Because I
Hopefully
don't,
they keep the humor in this book and the new movie, but
right. Oh, I hope so. It has to with Ryan Gosling. I mean,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, he plays some serious characters, but I feel like he's usually, a humor guy.
Yeah.
When Rocky and Rylan call each other friend.
Yes.
I just love when Rylan like went back to save him and Rocky's like, "You came back for me."
I know. I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna cry." Oh gosh, so good.
Okay. So, Olivia, what are your final thoughts and what did you rate the book?
Well, I have you to thank for this being my first 5-star of the year and probably one of my favorites that I'll read this year. So, I I I didn't necessarily have high expectations going into it because again, don't read a lot of sci-fi, but I've heard a lot of people that read all sorts of stuff really enjoy this one. So it's like, okay, it has the potential. So I'm just gonna go into it with an open mind and absolutely loved it. Blown away. Like I could be picking be like, "Oh, it's a 4.75. There's too much math for me." But like you kind of had to explain like what he was going through.
Mhm.
So, I gave it a 5. I loved it.
Yay.
Absolutely loved it.
Oh, I'm so happy. I'm glad you
Oh,
liked it.
yes.
Perfect. I did go into this with really high expectations. And for the most, well, like it started out, I'm like, okay, this is definitely a 5. And then it kind of petered out a little bit. Like I was still enjoying it, but I was like, well,
Yeah.
maybe it's a 4, maybe it's a 4.5. But like the last 100 pages, I was like, no,
Yep.
this is a 5. This is a 5.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
like one of those books that, like, anytime I put it down, I still kept thinking about it, and usually that's a sign where I'm like, "Okay, it's a 5
Yeah.
star." So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'm so glad you loved it.
So
Let's
glad
see.
we both loved it. I
Yeah.
wasn't sure how you would feel because you read more of this genre than I do. So I was like, "Ooh, are we gonna have differing opinions? Like, am I just being optimistic?" So I was eager to see what you thought.
Yeah. I mean, like, usually if a book either like blows my mind, which this one did, but not in the usual way that I'm looking for.
Mhm.
Um, but if a book blows my mind, or if it's just so adorable or cozy, because it's like this wasn't cozy in the sense that there's no risk involved or anything like that, but it just like it wasn't a horror. It wasn't like
Yes.
I don't know. I felt confident that things were gonna work out. Like, I at no
Yes.
point was I worried that either character was gonna die. Like, even the first time that he tried to trick us into thinking something happened to Rocky,
Yeah.
like, I don't know if I wasn't paying attention for a second, but I was like, "That happened way too quick. He's fine. Give him a
Yeah.
minute. He's
I was
okay."
like, "How are you gonna continue the rest of the book without him?"
Right.
Like, you threw me for a second, but, like, you know,
Yeah.
didn't quite believe him that he would do that.
Yeah.
Uh,
So Max Berry also wrote Lexicon, but I haven't read that one yet. Yeah, I saw that in
okay.
the list. That one looked kinda cool too.
Hmm,
Does get thrillery for sure. Okay.
cool.
Saw The Martian years ago when it first came out in theaters. Finally just read it this past year. Oh, how did it
Nice.
compare to the movie?
I saw it in theaters too. I think I've seen it one other time, but it's just been a while.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, my mascara from, like, smiling so much, it's, like, smudging my lower lid.
Uh,
I would take out a lot of the filler science things. I read so many good books this year, so the plot, just was just good, not great to me, but the characters were everything. Oh, that's right, 'cause, Sam, you did 3.5, I think, right? I
yeah.
think
That's
that's what
still a good rating because,
yeah.
like, I always think of, like, 2.5 as, like, the midpoint because that's
Mhm.
halfway to 5, so I
Yeah,
feel like that's above average, so, yeah.
I agree. Used to reading dystopian sci-fi, so I never expected a sci-fi. Oh my gosh, my dog's trying to burst through the
I
door.
was like, "Was that your dog?" I had to shut my cat out or he would be crazy back here.
Oh, sorry, that like scared me. I'm used to reading dystopian sci-fi, so I never expected a sci-fi novel to be so funny and wholesome. Just
Aw,
what I needed to start the year. Perfect. I'm
love
so
that.
5 shooting stars. I
Aw,
love
I
it.
love that too. Yay.
Awesome. Okay, well, oops, whoops, whoops. I'm losing my buttons here. Where did we
StreamYard
go?
likes to do that.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you everyone for joining us and for those that read along. I'm so glad that for the majority, it sounded like everyone really enjoyed this one and it could be a
Yeah.
favorite for a lot of us. So next month, February, which is what, Saturday, I
Oh,
think. Is that
yeah.
right? Saturday?
Yeah, I think so.
Um, our February book is going to be The Nightmare Virus by Nadine Brandis. This is a YA and it has to do, it kind of, I don't know why. I've never seen Nightmare on Elm Street, but it makes me think of that
Oh, really?
because of like you sleep and there's nightmares and like you're trapped. I don't know. It sounds
Interesting.
very, I'm very intrigued. I'm very
Yeah,
intrigued.
I've seen that one around, it looks cool.
Yeah. So be sure to join us in February if that sounds like something you guys would be interested in. And we have a couple more. Love, love, love. So glad this was the pick. Also, too, I haven't like officially announced this yet, but as I said earlier, The Martian is going to be a book pick later this year. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Very happy to have read this. Love this book club and getting out of my comfort zone. Yay! I'm
Yes.
so glad.
Such a
That's
good way to kick off my year, like,
yes,
just doing something completely different.
yes. Amazing. Well, thank you so much. Hang on. There we go. Okay. Thank you so much, Liv, for joining
Oh,
me.
yeah, thanks for asking me. Let
Yes,
me know
of
if you ever
course.
need someone again, because this was a big success for me, so I need to
Amazing.
read more sci-fi now. I need to
Yes,
message you, and you could send me a list of what you think I would like.
for sure. For
Yeah,
sure.
yeah,
All right, everyone. Well, thanks so much for joining, and I hope to see you all in February.
yeah.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.